What is going on? I want to welcome you from AFCOR for today, Monday, December 5th, 2022. I am Sean Murphy, and today we are here to talk about Saddiq Bey. Jeff Iafrady not with me today because he is not feeling well. Be sure to wish him well wishes on Twitter at Jeff Iafrady, or you can tell him to go himself, which I feel like doing on a daily basis. But anyway, today we're here to talk about Saddiq Bey and specifically how he's been playing this season, his shooting slump that he's going through, and what he could potentially do to get out of it because it's been a rough season for the team as a whole. I mean, we talk about it on a consistent basis. It's been a cluster for the Pistons literally since day one with all of the injuries that they've been dealing with. Now being in, second to last place in the Eastern Conference, suck at Orlando for being last now, finally, taking their rightful place. But for Detroit, it's been a rough go. And Saddiq, there's definitely been areas where I feel like he's improved in his game. I feel like he's taken some steps, especially with being able to get to the line, with being able to do more when his shot isn't going. But his game is clearly limited with the fact that his shot isn't going. And I think that's a big thing. If this team was going to take the next step this season, be a team that is going to be more competitive, we talked about it. And it required a couple things, right? First of all, it required Cade Cunningham to have an all-star level season and to show why he was the number one pick this last year. And he played really well the first couple of weeks. Didn't shoot the greatest. Definitely, didn't start out, the most aggressive, but as the season went on, he was looking great. And then, now might be out for the entire season. Saddiq, on the other hand, he's been available. He's missed a few games for the first time in his career. However, yet again, Saddiq Bey is struggling to shoot it from three. This season, he's currently shooting as of currently recording, he's shooting 27% from beyond the arc, which currently puts him in the 28th percentile of 3-point shooting percentage. So not good, not exactly where you want to be. And I think, there's a couple things to consider. First of all, I went back and did some digging last week just because I was curious, to see, like how this compared to last season's shooting slump. And it's really fascinating because as of the 29th, I was looking at this after their game last week. I forgot who they were playing, but I was looking at, where Sadiq's shooting numbers were at compared to last year. And what I found was, according to Pro Basketball Reference, as of November 28th, 2021, Sadiq's percentage was 29.4%. This year, as of November 29th, 2022, it's only point 0.8 points away. It is almost identical. So part of me wonders, okay, when looking at shooting slumps, it can be a variety of different factors, right? First of all, with Saddiq, yet again, there's an adjustment to the lineup and to the rotation almost every single night with the health and and everything that the team's been going through, but also new players and new guys in that starting lineup. And initially those opportunities were sparse. And so if those opportunities weren't going to fall, what was Saddiq gonna be able to do, right? And especially when you have a guy that's so consistent that was in that starting lineup with him, like Bojan Bogdanovic, who has shot, his effective field goal percentage this year is almost 60%. That's insane. He's shooting 42% from beyond the arc. He's shooting 50% from the field. You get about 20 points from him each and every night. You know exactly what you're going to expect. With Saddiq, on the other hand, it could be a total toss-up. You can have some nights where he can get you 20 plus. You can also get nights where he has 5. And it's not from a lack of attempts. He just has nights where nothing goes in. And the problem is that it just seems like it's happening a little too often. And although it seems like, especially with this new bench role, it's been a bit of an adjustment. And, towards the beginning of the season, kind of when things were going well, when the team, was kind of, more assembled as especially that starting unit with Cade, he was able to get up to 28 points against Golden State. He was able to get 25, at home against OKC as well. Like we've seen Saddiq be able to go out and have good nights, shooting the basketball or scoring wise, but we just haven't seen many nights where he shot the basketball well, especially from beyond the arc. And the thing that's been impressive, because this isn't just a complete bashing session. I don't think Sadiq is I don't think he's regressing. I'm just questioning if he's progressing, if that makes any sense, because he's going through the slump. And it is the thing that I do see the areas in his game that he's improved. Like, first of all, he's getting to the line this year more than he ever has. He's doubled his attempts per game. He's able to, draw fouls at a consistent rate when driving to the rim. He's in the 78th percentile in that category, according to B-Ball Index. So he's really good at drawing fouls and driving to the lane. He also is really good at creating shots near the rim. And so that ability to finish at the rim and finish your contact and also to draw contact and fouls is something that's going to really aid him throughout his career, especially when that shot isn't falling. Because when you're not getting that luck from beyond the arc, sometimes the best way to get your shot going is to go make your own luck. And the way to make your own luck is to go get free throws, go get shots that are easy, right? And so I think that's a big thing for him. I also wonder with Saddiq, because there's times when I'm watching Saddiq shoot the basketball, and there's times where he shoots a lot of threes, off 1 foot, or he's shooting threes, unbalanced, or he's shooting threes out of rhythm, or he's shooting threes, like he takes a lot of shots and he's not afraid to shoot the basketball, which is good. But it's about knowing how to get to your spots, knowing what rhythms work, knowing what is more effective for you versus what isn't a great attempt. And I think that's where, Saddiq needs to take it to that next level, because the efficiency, though, thus far this season just isn't there. And I think that's, again, when you talk about the difference between a guy like Bojan Bogdanovic, who, again, is a seasoned veteran, right? I mean, this guy is 34 years old at this point, or he's 33 years old. We know what we're getting out of Bojan, right? It's taken him years to get to this point. It took him when he was to when he was about 28, 29 years old to be able to play at this level in the NBA, right? So it takes a minute. But I think what's gonna make that difference is, for one, like I said, understanding what types of attempts you're taking, understanding, how you can make it easier for yourself. And I think when you look at some of the numbers, like it's just like Sadiq is a really good catch and shoot 3-point shooter, and he's not making catch and shoot threes. And so it's one of those things where I look at that category and I genuinely don't think, and I can't see that continuing throughout an entire season, because of because of his tutelage, because of his past and his performances that we have seen. And so, and with where the team's at right now too, with where they're at record-wise, with where they're at health-wise, with where they're at, as far as, in the stage of their development, the good news is that they have a lot of time and a pretty long leash for Sadiq to be able to go out and work on those mistakes, build upon, these performances and get better each and every night. And even with the new role that Sadiq has as well, being a sixth man coming off the bench, being able to have more of those minutes as a primary offensive option, I think that's something that can benefit him as well. And I think, we've seen, we saw last night in the Memphis game, even though the team, got clobbered, and, on the boards, got clobbered, as far as, scoring wise and, defensive wise, it was just a rough night. Sadiq did play well off the bench, and it was his first really good performance in that six-man role. And I think that really can be an opportunity for him to find that fit. And I think, looking at the long term, I think Sadiq could be an excellent sixth man. Obviously, I know a lot of people, have the expectation of Saddiq Bey being that second guy in the lineup, being that all-star next to Cade Cunningham. And maybe those expectations just weren't ever realistic. Like, maybe getting an amazing sixth man for your 19th overall pick in the 2020 draft is an absolute steal. And even then, like, there's still like scenarios where Sadiq can start and he's still getting starting level minutes. So it's not like his role is being diminished on this team. It's just being adjusted. He's not one of the guys that's getting announced as the starting five. He's just coming off the bench, and it is an adjustment. It is something you have to massage and manage with egos. And it is something that Dwayne Casey is taking a risk with doing. It is an experiment. It is change. And it is something that can potentially, change a player's outlook. However, with a guy like Saddiq Bey, with his mental toughness, with his, lack of fear of shooting the ball, with his clear ability to put nights behind him and to have composure and to keep playing through slumps, I think he's gonna be totally fine. And I mean, we even saw last year in the month of December after he had those months that after he had those performances where he was about 26% or 27% from beyond the arc in the month of November last year, he then turned around and was about 38%. So he was totally fine last December. He had great performances, in fact. So I could see Saddiq having that exact type of month for the Pistons. I don't see the woes and the struggles to keep going to this extent that we've seen over the past couple of weeks. I do think the Pistons can start to win more games, but at the same time, it's going to come down to if guys like Saddiq can get out of that slump. If guys like Jaden Ivey can start contributing more on a night to night basis. If all those pieces can come together and they can figure out how to make it all work through 4 quarters. And I think that's a big thing. I mean, even Dwayne Casey touched on it at the end of the game. The biggest difference between a team like Memphis and the Pistons tonight, first of all, the obvious thing was Memphis had their franchise player out there and Detroit didn't. You could see, just on a game-to-game basis, how much Detroit misses Cade Cunningham, right? That's not a secret. There is a Cade Cunningham size gap on the court each and every night that you can obviously see the impact of his absence is felt, right? And everything with Memphis runs through John Morant. The only time Detroit was able to get back in the game was when John Morant wasn't on the court. And even though they have a ton of guys who can score and make shots, the offense just runs and that engine goes where John Morant takes them. So the first obvious thing is the difference is they have their franchise guy available and he's getting into the apex of his physical prime, but also, his overall, just abilities as a player are just getting better and better. But also, I think you look at, the consistency of their supporting cast, that guys like Brandon Clark and guys, like Desmond Bain go out there and do what they do on a night to night basis consistently. Their effort is consistent, their pace is consistent, their intensity is consistent. They play the same brand of basketball all 4 quarters. The difference is it's just more explosive when Ja's on the court than when he's off it, which obviously they have Ja Morant on the court for a significant amount. And obviously he went out and torched us in the second half. So I think that's a pretty big thing. But I think also you just look at the fact that, again, the overall like big thing for Detroit was they had spurts where guys could give them production. Jaden Ivey started the game with a lot of creation, with being able to get to the basket, and then the rest of the game happened. Corey Joseph had that first half where he was able to come in and make a couple circus shots from beyond the arc, and then the second half happened. Right? Like that's the thing. You're not getting guys consistently through 4 quarters other than guys like Bojan, who's been doing it on a consistent basis. And Saddiq, he was able to get to the line 12 times, and we've seen him do that throughout games and get to the line an unprecedented amount of times. So he's at least, getting opportunities, and we've seen him be pretty efficient, within the arc. The problem is he just keeps taking a lot of threes, and when you're not making them, it's just not a plus for your team, especially, when you're losing the rebounding battle. And Detroit was lucky, by the way, that they didn't lose the rebounding battle worse because if Steven Adams was in this game, it would have been a lot worse than the 7 rebound differential. And I think, overall, where things are at right now, like as far as the defense. I want to dive more into that on this week's podcast. I even want to do like a video talk a little bit more about what are the defensive issues. I'd love to bring on some more people as well, like Kool-Aid, from who's the beat reporter for Woodward Sports for the Pistons. Also, our guy James Edwards III. I want to start diving in and asking these people, what can this team do to at least be better defensively right now? Because it's just got to start with consistency. I mean, you look at the fact that the Grizzlies were able to come out and score 40 points in the first quarter. That just can't happen. Like you can't win a game with that type of defensive, with those types of defensive lapses. And I don't think it's always from like a lack of effort. I think it's just from like a focus standpoint and from like a communication standpoint, because a lot of times you just see missed rotations, miscommunication on who's supposed to be covering who, where guys are supposed to be and when. And like a lot of that was drawn from their star player, John Morant, because when he's driving to the paint, they have to have at least 3 or 4 guys at least near the basket because that's how dangerous John Morant is. And so for Detroit to win, they need guys, to contribute on a night to night basis. When your franchise guy is out, you don't always know who it's going to be. And so I know that Saddiq can be that guy. I know Saddiq has been that guy in the past. I think he will improve from beyond the arc. I don't see these struggles continuing, but at the same time, if there was a time that they need Saddiq to step up from beyond the arc, it's about now. Again, the leash is long, but if Detroit wants to be more competitive, if they want, to be in more of these games, and if they want to see more wins, and especially if Sadiq wants to, be a long-term like starter, or if he wants to reach that all-star level, get to that next step in his career, it starts with consistency. With that, I want to know what your thoughts are. What do you think of Saddiq Bey? How would you grade his performance thus far this season? And what do you think he can do to overcome that? Let us know in the comment section down below. But also, let us know what you want us to talk about. What Pistons related topics, NBA topics, anything you want us to chat about. Let us know in the comment section down below. But that, of course, folks, is going to do it for today. I want to thank you all so much for listening. And we'll catch you guys next time from Half Court. Be sure you subscribe.